Good morning everyone, how you doing? I'm Carl. So we're going to work on a Astra K today. We're going to be doing the rear brakes. I'm going to show you how to replace the rear discs, put some new pads in, and hopefully save you some money from some garage bills and stuff, and show you a way you can do it at home on your driveway and do it yourself sort of thing. I'll use all the sort of DIY tools, jack, stands, that sort of stuff, instead of taking it indoors and doing it the garage way. And hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to save you quite a few pounds. The garage bills now are getting quite high. Some places are like £60 an hour, some places are like £90 an hour. It depends where you go. So let's spin round, have a little look and see what we can do. This is a 1.6 turbo diesel, but the principle of the job is pretty much the same on whatever model. You'll still be undoing the same parts, putting on the same parts, just that the disc will be a bigger size on like a 2 litre or something like that. But the actual job is pretty much exactly the same. So let's go ahead, show you the parts. We'll get the car in the air, get some wheels off, and start doing the job. So first of all, you're probably going to need one of these, which is a lock and wheel nut key. So find that, it's probably in your glove box or in your boot with your toolkit for taking wheels off and that sort of thing. Have a look around your car, you should be able to find it. And that'll be the first thing you need. Right, let's go to the back and have a look at what we're going to be putting on, and let's take some wheels off. Okay, so this is a customer job. This is what I've been supplied with. So these are the new discs. Always come all greased and sitting in the packets. These are the pads, the Delphi pads. Obviously we've got 2 sets of them. Lovely jubbly. Right, so let's go ahead, whip these wheels off. This one we're doing today, as you can see, is on a state, but it's no different to a normal hatch. Okay, so when it comes to jacking up a car, look underneath, you'll see like a cutout in the sill. On these there's like a gap, and that's the strengthening part for jacking these up pretty much. So you just line up like so, get the cup in the gap, and away you go. Do the same with the jack that's in the boot, or use the trolley back. Doesn't really matter, but make sure you put it there, because that's the strengthening part of the chassis. Next thing you're going to need is a pair of these, or a pair of grips, and that's to remove the little black covers that sit over top of the wheel nuts. You just literally grip hold of them like so, pull them out one at a time. Should just come off straight away like that. Pretty straightforward. And then obviously your other one is your lock and wheel nut. So next thing you're going to need is a wheel brace. Either one of these or one like this, or you supplied one with the car in the boot. Find out what size your wheel nuts are. These ones are 19. Whack on the end. Simple as that. Jack her up.
Clean your wheel nuts off.
So, and away your wheel goes. Wheel don't come straight off, just give it a kick in one corner, either side, and that will just gradually work its way off the middle. So once your wheel's off, this is what you'll get. You'll be able to see your disc. You can see this one is starting to go. You can see all lines in the disc. It's starting to get really worn. There's a lip on the edge. And the reason we're actually changing this one as well as this one's warped, you'll see your caliper and stuff like that all sitting there like so. Make sure you inspect all these rubbers. You don't want no split rubbers, because that's what hold all the grease into your caliper. Around the back, you'll see these bolts here. Work out what size they are. These look like they're going to be a 15. You need to just look at your handbrake cable, make sure that's all in the right places and all good. On this one, we'll probably be able to need two hands really, but if you just push that link forward, you can pull the cable out through the bottom and you can literally lift that out of the way. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get a tin of cleaner. We're going to put some cleaner around all the brakes and stuff, as otherwise, as you can see by my hands already, you're just working in dirt, which you don't want. You want all nice clean area ready to fit the new disc and stuff. So once you're this far, we'll just use something like a engine degreaser, something like that, or a spray tin of brake cleaner. You can get these at the same places where you get your discs and pads and stuff like that from, so that makes the job a lot better, a lot cleaner. And obviously you don't want to be putting new parts in and having all just yucky brake dust all sticking to them. You want it all nice and clean down there, and a nice fresh start. So make your choice of what you're going to do brake cleaning wise. Get it all over the brakes. Don't be scared, get as much on as possible. Brush. Just give them a good old cleaner. Simple as that, pretty straightforward. Get them all nice and clean, and then we can start undoing stuff. Okay, so let's get close in. Push that forward, pull the cable out of there, slacken it off. Cable comes out, tuck it out of the way. Next, you're going to want to ratchet 15mm socket on the back. You find a nut at the top, a nut at the bottom, on the back of the carrier of the caliper. Undo them. Sometimes they can be very difficult. Like so. Both of them undone. We now want to undo the carriers of where the pads are. 13mm socket. You're basically going to get them out. Make sure you put them where you know where they are. This bottom one's spinning, so I'm going to grab a pair of grip. With these little pliers to start with. That's what most people will have. Just grab them and undo it like so. There's the other one. Keep them together so you know that. That should release your caliper. Like so. As you can see, it's pretty dirty in there. What we normally do is put them up like that. Give them a good old spray up inside. And we'll just leave them soaking while I'm taking the pads out. Lift your pads out. This is your carrier. Undo them 2 bolts that we done, the first 2 we done. This one's decided to tighten back up on me. Get the old socket on it and just spin it with the socket. Does that. Put them 2 to the side. This will come out like so. Now when you get this out, straight away you need to see if these are moving backwards and forwards, like so. That one was nearly seized actually. You pull these little rubbers off around the edges here. And you will see there's grease in there and in there. If there's no grease in there, make sure you re-grease them. I'll show you the grease in a minute because we will do them. They are a little bit stiff. If they're seized in there, then you need to get whatever tools you need and get them moving again. They need to slide in and out for your brakes to work properly. So next piece of kit you're going to need is one of these. It's a brake winding tool. Don't have to buy the full piece kit like this. You can just buy the kit for your car, which will be much cheaper. Basically, you fit one of the little rings to the end of the tool. Put this in between the edge of the caliper and the piston of the caliper. And then you just basically wind this until the piston goes right back in, so your new pads can fit in the actual caliper. That's pretty much how you do it. Sometimes these can be a bit seized and be a bit of a pain. As you can see, this one's been bent a few times. But if that is the case, just pull this rubber forward, get some WD in there and get it moving backwards and forwards. And away you go. Sometimes if you get a really, really bad one, then you will have to replace the caliper. But in this case, we're pretty good and we should be able to move forward and just wind this in. So that's what I'm going to do next. And then we'll move on. So trying to keep hold of everything and just wind it in. Until you get all the way in. It's a bit fiddly. You have to just keep winding this one outwards to pick up the slack as you're moving along. Then you turn this one. As you saw, it's now starting to move quite easily. Give it like 3 turns and then catch up with the slack on this one again. Moving quite nicely. Can be a bit of a pain to keep the old teeth and slack all lined up. Any little studs. We're keeping that slack on is the main thing, really. Try not to do too many turns. 3 is enough, really. And that's basically wound that back in as far as we need to go. If you need to go further, then go further, but that should be plenty. So once you get to this stage, get yourself a wire brush. You can buy these anywhere really, sort of cheapy 99p stores, stuff like that. Get the middle of the brake pad, brake caliper. Just get in there and clean it up. Hasn't got to be perfect, just get it clean. Be careful not to damage this rubber. You definitely don't want to do that. Keep washing it down with the old tin of brake cleaner. Same on these. If you look inside the carrier, you've got little silver slider plates. Get in there. Try and get them plates nice and clean. You can take them out if you want to. You want them as clean as possible, like brand new, like so. Both sides. Need a bit more on that one. Okay, so we're moving on quite nicely. So the next thing to do is pull these out. Inspect and make sure there's no damage around the edge of these outer rings, not full of dust or anything like that. Yourself a clean cloth or some blue roll tissue like this. Just remove all the old grease as much as you can. Inspect the pins, make sure they're not all scored up. Whereas this one's really, really nice. And then this is brake grease, just doing with some nice brake grease like so. Make sure it's a high temperature brake one that you use, otherwise that will just melt and be useless within a few trips. Squeeze it on, that will squirt a little bit of grease and stuff out, but that's all good. As long as that's moving backwards and forwards like so. Spin it around a few times, get it all nice and loose and working nicely. Lovely. Same to the other one. We'll do this one quickly because you just see me do the other one. Clean. Inspect, all looking good. Grease. Back in the carrier. Spin it around, get it working. Move it backwards and forwards. Lovely. All ready to go. Right, so that's everything set up to go back on, but we haven't removed this disc yet. So we've got a tool for in here. And then we need to lock up the disc if we need to, get this undone. So for this next bit, there's a little screw inside the disc. You're going to want a T30 star drive. which is at the kit like so. That's what the 30 looks like. Goes in there. What I do is I put it on the end of a 10mm socket, and away we go. Now that's a bit tight at the moment, so I have a little trick. If you get a hammer and just four or five hits just round it, normally loosens it up. Away you go. Let's see. Look at that, straight off. Works every time. There's your little grub screw, they're called. Couple of taps, and off come your terrible disc. Now we've got a nice shiny new one. Doesn't matter which one you take out of the box, they're both the same. They're not handed or anything like that. They're going to be exactly the same. Look for the grub screw hole that lines up with this here. Do that like so. Get your grub screw. Line it all up and away you go. Nip it up, but don't go over the top and like snap it off or anything. You don't need to go crazy. Now when these come, they're absolutely covered in oil, which is no good whatsoever. If you get yourself a bit of rag or a bit of tissue, get your cleaner, feel that oil coming off, and round the back. Last thing you need is oil on your brakes. Basically there just to stop them rusting when they're in the packets. Hold it at the back and do the same thing as well. That takes care of that. That's your new disc on. Wash your hands, get all the oil and greases off. Right, so someone put the carrier back on. I'm going to want them 2 bolts. Slide it over the disc like so. Line your bolt holes up, give it a little wiggle and wind them in. Get your socket, which is the 15. And you want these to be pretty tight. You need to go crazy and get a torque wrench and do all torques and stuff like that. Just put a bit of force into them and do them up tight. And that's all that back on. Make sure these are still sliding nicely, which they are. Lovely jubbly. A little bit of grease on the edge of that one and just wipe that away. Clean the back of your pads. Just get the old wire brush and give the back of the pads a wipe. Now this grease is called copper slip. You want a little bit on the ends, literally, and then some on the back so it can move around a bit. You don't want nothing getting sticky and stuck. I'll have to look what I'm doing and show you, but you pretty much just line up with these holes, one at the top, one at the bottom, which you'll see on this one. As you can see, slide it in the bottom. It says it can be a pain, but they do line up. And you go. Wipe all the grease out of your hands. They'll be all nice and free and moving. Bring your brake caliper back over. Make sure where you've wound back will fit between there and the pads. Give it a wiggle. They can't be a pain. Sometimes they are pretty tight. You just give them a little tap. Like so. Get it over the edges. Then you're left with these two. Then go in these ends. Wiggle it around till they pick up the thread. There we go. All in like so. Keep your 13. You don't want these too tight, you just want to nip them. Just like that. Sometimes they can be a pain like that one. You have to grab with the grips. Just to give it that couple of turns until it nips up and just go. Basically all back together. Really good. Make sure your disc is all turning nicely. This one is, it's going to rub slightly when you first put everything all fresh and new in. But I drive down the road and bit of sort of dual carriageway driving 60, 70. Use the brakes a bit and that'll be a while away. Put your cable back through. Line up the ball. Okay, and everything's all back together. You can see the old handbrake one's all back in. The bolts to the sliding caliper all back in. Bolts at the top. There. Top and bottom all back in. Nice new discs. Grub screws back in. Everything's all greased up. It's ready to roll. It's a bit tight, but that's just normal. sometimes you have to slacken off the handbrake slightly if that's pulling up. And before you do anything, go in and just press the brake pedal like so, just to pump the brakes back up. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that'll pump the brakes back out, and you're ready to use them. So what did we use while we were doing this? We used brake grease, copper slip for the pads, brake cleaner in the tin, the star drive kit, the brake caliper winding kit, some sockets, wheel brace, wire brush, pair of pliers, pry bar, and that's pretty much it. Obviously a jack. I won't show you putting the wheel and stuff back on because that's pretty self-explanatory. And I've got to now go around and do the other side, which I won't show, but it's the same thing. As you can see, just got to change everything what I did on the other side. Okay, so I hope that was helpful to a few of you, if not lots of you. Save you some money. It's not a too bad job to do if you don't mind doing a bit of sort of mechanical stuff and you don't mind giving things a go, then that's not too bad. But if you're sort of completely unaware of how tools work and things like that, then I'd recommend getting a garage to do it, because obviously that's your brakes and that's what stops your car. But definitely worth having a go if you're doing a little project or something like that, or whatever. You've got a brake squealing away, whereas the pads are down to the metal, or one of your calipers is stuck on because your slider's not moving backwards and forwards like I show you, not greased up, then this will fix them problems. Oh, it's getting really hot. It's a really hot day. It's 28 degrees already, and that's only 10:30 in the morning. Been over since about 8. Right, so I've got to do the other side. So basically for you, if you're doing the other side, it's literally exactly the same as what I've done this side, just on the other side. So there's no point me showing you that. So all I can do now is say thanks for watching. I've been Carl, this has been Waterside Workshop, and hopefully I can help you get back on the road, or I can help you do a repair. And I'll see you again soon. See you in another video. Bye for now.